Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is Storytime Day. I posted a poll on my Twitter and like 5 people responded, and funny enough they all responded to the same choice. As you can see from the title, I was dragged out of a wedding. 5 years ago I was living down in Wildwood. For those of you who are familiar with New Jersey, you know exactly where that is. You've probably even been there. If you have never heard of it, it's a shore town. It's actually an island off the coast of New Jersey. Anyway, 5 years ago I was living down there, and I was seeing this guy who, he was, you know, at first I thought it was really great, super charming, always took me out during the week, stuff like that. 2 of his friends were getting married, and he invited me to go to the wedding with him. Of course, I said yes. The week before the wedding, he was in Las Vegas for a bicycle convention, so I was kind of left by myself to, you know, pack my clothes for the weekend coming up, and he had the maintenance man who worked with him work on his truck and then drop it off at my apartment, so that way when I went to pick him up from the airport, I would use his truck. I went and picked him up from the airport that Friday night actually. He drove us from the airport to our hotel in, I remember it was a DoubleTree Suites hotel. If you guys are familiar with any Philadelphia or any of the surrounding areas, the wedding was in Manayunk, and we were staying in Plymouth Meeting. He drove us to the hotel, like we had a really nice night, we went to bed, whatever, woke up the next day, and the wedding wasn't until later in the afternoon. So we went in the car, and he drove me into Southwest Philadelphia and just like showed me around where he grew up and everything. Really cool. We get back to the hotel later, and we start getting ready to go to the wedding. And the nice part about this was at the hotel, because the bride and groom, I believe they booked rooms at that hotel, and they were able to schedule a shuttle to come pick everybody up who was at the hotel going to the wedding to go to the wedding. So we got dressed, I did my makeup, did my hair. I don't really do much with my hair. This was my wedding hair right here. We did that, and we went downstairs. We were a little bit early for the shuttle, so they had a bar downstairs, and he said, you know, let's get a drink. So we go and sit at the bar, and he was one of those guys who, unless I spoke quicker than him, he would order my drinks for me. I'm not about that. Like, I don't like people answering for me. He ordered me a glass of Pinot Grigio, which I'm not a big wine fan. I don't know, wine just doesn't do it for me. But I had one glass, just one. There was only enough time for one glass before the shuttle came, so I drank it, and I was already buzzed. Wine is some strong stuff, let me tell you. We get on this shuttle, and I don't know, I think I just drank it too fast. Honestly, I think I drank it too fast. It was a full glass. We're driving, and it was a bumpy ride, and Manayunk's pretty hilly, so I at one point remember leaning over like this and thinking to myself, oh my god, I'm drunk already. I wasn't, I was just really buzzed, which I guess can equate to being just about drunk. We get to the venue, we get off the bus, and we go inside, and we find seats, and we sit. I'm not feeling okay. I'm like, okay, buzz, alright, whatever. I just gotta make it through the ceremony, and then after that, like, I can eat, because, you know, the cocktail hour usually has hors d'oeuvres, and then after that is a reception, you have a meal. So the ceremony happens, and of course the bride looks beautiful, the bridesmaids look great, the groom is handsome, you know, the groomsmen look great. The whole ceremony was very nicely put together, and it was inside. I can't remember the venue, but it was one of those weddings where everything was in one spot, which I think is pretty common now. A lot of people do that. Sorry, I say a lot. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just trying to collect my thoughts. The ceremony ends and cocktail hour starts. We go in, and they have this other room set up, and it's really cute, like white tables with white linen on them, you know, towers of cheese and grapes, the crudité, you know, the little veggies, stuff like that. And of course, they have someone standing at the door with a tray of these blue cocktails. Don't know what they were. we go in and my boyfriend's like, hey, you know, why don't you grab our place cards and I'll get us drinks. And I'm like, okay. So he grabs 2 of the blue martinis or cocktails. They were in martini glasses. And he hands me one. And we actually see a friend of, well, it was a friend of his. We had just started seeing each other that year, so, you know, his friends were his friends. So we see a friend of his, and, you know, we're socializing, mingling, whatever. I drank the whole drink. Like, I kind of, like, knocked it back. And when he looked at me, he was like, damn, you drank it already? I said, yeah, it wasn't that big. He was like, you want another one? I was like, sure. So he goes and he gets me another glass of Pinot, which I kind of wish, I don't know a whole lot about alcohol, and I know it sounds dumb for somebody my age, but I mean, I don't drink, you know. I'll drink in a social setting, barbecues, parties, whatever, but I don't like getting drunk. I've gotten drunk maybe 3 times in my life, hungover once. But yeah, I don't know. He comes back with our drinks, and I'm totally okay at this point. I mean, I'm buzzed, but I'm okay. In total, during that happy hour, I had, well, before that I had the Pinot, and then I had the blue drink, and then I had, I think, 2 more Pinot Grigios, and he was gonna give me water. I said I would like another drink, and he said, honestly, I think you've had enough. You need water. So I said, yeah, okay, I'll take a water. And the friend that we were hanging out with earlier said, nah, have another drink. You're an adult. You can drink whatever you want. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, go get me another drink. So he brings it over. I get about halfway through the drink. It was another Pinot. I should have known better. It was another Pinot. I got halfway through it, and I wasn't feeling good at all. Happy hour is almost over, but I look at the friends of his that were there, and they were mostly ladies, so I said, guys, I'm drunk, I need to sit down. So there was a chair, and I like kind of climbed up into the chair because it was a high top chair. Apparently when I'm drunk I talk a lot. But I do remember what I was talking about. I was talking about how, oh, I love the cheese and grapes platters. Like, they're so nice. Like, I really like cheese. It was literally, I was talking about the cheese platters. The cheese platters. Of anything to talk about. Talking about the cheese platters. Also, when I get drunk, I notice, at least this time, obviously I had way too much alcohol for me. I'm a lightweight. I'm super lightweight. I could hear, when I talked, it sounded like my ears were muffled. My voice was muffled in my ears, if that even makes sense. You know when you have an ear infection and it starts to heal, and you can't hear out of your ear? That's what it was like, but in both ears. So I'm talking and talking and talking about the cheese platter. My boyfriend disappears to go have a cigarette with other people, whatever. And then while he's out, they say, okay, you know, reception room's ready, come on over. So everybody leaves. When we go to reception, I find our table and I sit down. And I'm looking at the glasses that are on the table, and there are 2. There's one that is water, and there's one that is champagne. And in my drunk state, I'm looking at them, and to me they look the same, even though when you look at water and champagne side by side, champagne in a glass has bubbles, water in a glass does not. I'm looking at them, and I'm starting to panic, because I know I'm drunk, and when I don't hold my liquor. So I had to make a quick decision. Do I start drinking all the water on the table, or do I wait and excuse myself to go to the bathroom? While I'm sitting there waiting, the table was full, so we were sitting with a bunch of people that we didn't know, and they were all Canadian. Not that that has any relevance to this. I mean, the one friend that was getting married, he's Canadian, so there were other Canadians there. But I had no idea who these people were, and the one guy was asking me, like, so, who are you? You know, like, how do you know the guy? And I said, oh, I'm actually the girlfriend of the guy's friend, and drunk me didn't want to talk. Because drunk me was upset that she was drunk. I think regular me was upset too. I don't know what I said to this guy. I just remember he was like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, oh, because at one point, because I guess I was trying to keep a conversation going that I didn't even want to have. Didn't even want to have a conversation with anybody because I just wanted to lay down. I wanted to go to the bathroom and just lay down. My boyfriend comes back and he sits next to me and he's like, hey. I was like, hey, like, these are all so-and-so's friends. They're all Canadian. And he was like, yeah, you know, so-and-so is Canadian. I'm like, oh yeah, go looking out. Of course, I'm looking at these glasses again. And it's loud and everybody's turning around like, yes, like, here comes a wedding party, whatever, because the DJ's trying to rile everybody up. And he was sitting on my right. So, like, I poke my boyfriend and I'm like, that's water, right? I pointed to one of the glasses. I pointed to the bigger of the two. I said, that's water, right? He goes, yeah, it's water. He looked at me, he's like, you're drunk, aren't you? I'm like, I said it back there. Pretty sure I'm still drunk. And so I started trying to drink the water, and then I started feeling nauseous. When I say I'm a lightweight, okay, one drink does me in. One. I had like 5. I had 5. 4.5. 5. Whatever. Guys, me and alcohol don't mix. I tap his arm. I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And he turns around, he's like, you can't go right now, they're introducing the wedding party, like, you can't. And he's like, look, it's on the TV, you can see it on the TV. And I look up, I'm like, oh man. Oh. Movement was not my friend that day. I'm like, okay, I gotta stand, because everybody started standing up, you know, they announced the bridal party, you wait for the bride and the groom to come in, the newlyweds. And he's like, come on, stand up. So I stood up, and I'm looking around, but I wasn't looking at anything in particular. I was just like, I really need the bathroom. Like, I really need to go. So, I don't know, time went like that, and the wedding party was all the way in, and he turned around, he's like, look, I see a couple of my lady friends going to the bathroom. I think I can bring you, like, I can walk you there. I think it's okay. So, he walks me to the bathroom. I try with all my strength to walk straight like I'm totally fine, because I'm not trying to like be that sloppy drunk at the wedding before, you know, the real fun even starts. I go into a stall and I turn and lock the door, and the first thing I do is turn around and puke, because I had a choice: either I pee first and then puke, or I puke first and then pee. I chose to not pee at all. I didn't pee at all. I think I just puked. So I threw up, and I tried to make it as quiet as I could. Because even in my drunk state, I am aware of things that are going on, people that are there, things that I'm saying. Like, I've never gotten so drunk that I didn't remember anything. That's just, I don't, you know, I know my limit, and once I start to feel weird, I kind of slow down, or I stop. I'm just really not into that. So when I was done, and I felt kind of better, but still drunk, I was like, okay, alright, I need to sit. That much I know, I need to sit. So I look in the toilet, and I see all my puke in the toilet. It was in the toilet. There was nothing on the seat. The seat was fine. My drunk logic was like, girl, you need to sit. But you ain't sitting on that. See, I bought this dress. Beautiful blue dress. Maybe I'll insert a picture here. Okay, so I bought this dress at Macy's. $15. Total steal. I go to get it altered because it was the last one like that, and it was 2 sizes too big. So I had to get it altered. I take it to a tailor, and she alters it. I pick it up the day I'm supposed to pick up my boy at the airport. And I asked her, can I try it on? She said, no, you can try it on at home. I said, okay, but I want to try it on now, before I leave. She goes, well, it's too late. I can't do anything for you if it's not right. Excuse me, I just paid you $150. The least you can do is let me try it on. So she wouldn't let me try it on, and I said, alright, it's probably fine. I take it home, whatever. Anyway, so my dress in total cost me $165. If you're like me, $165 for a dress, you better be able to wear that dress every single day of your life. For every occasion. You can't. It's fancy. Anyway, so I'm looking at this toilet seat, and drunk me is like, girl, if you sit on that toilet seat, you will get your dress dirty. So what did I do? I sat on the floor. So when you sit on a toilet, you face the door in a stall. Me, I sat on the floor. facing the wall that shared, the next stall shared. So I'm sitting there, and I sat with my legs bent, and then my feet, they were bent, stacked, and to the left. So my shoes were peeking out of the door. And I didn't realize this, because drunk me is like, okay, like, you'll be fine, just sit here for a minute, and then when you can get up, you can go out, wash your hands, wash your face, you know, don't mess up your makeup, and just wash it, and then you'll be fine. You can go and sit down and eat and enjoy. Someone saw my shoes peeking out of the door. Honey, are you okay in there? I opened the door. I could reach. I mean, luckily, it wasn't like a tall people stall or anything. So I opened the door, I swung it open, and I was like, hi, how are you? And the lady's like, I didn't flush the toilet. I forgot. Drunk me forgot. And so all of my puke was in there, and the lady's looking at me, and then she looks at the toilet, and she looks at me, she's like, oh, honey, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just sitting here. Just sitting for a minute. I just need to sit for a minute. She was like, okay, all right, do you want some water? And I said, oh yeah, I'd love some water, please. And she's like, okay. She's like, who are you with? I guess the mistake I made was telling her who I was with, because I told her his name, and I think I told her the table number. So I shut the door after she leaves, and I relock it, and I'm just sitting there like, okay, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. They're gonna bring me water, like, super. A few minutes later, Michelle, you in here? Yeah, I'm right here. So I stand up because I need some water. I open the door, and of course, like, I can't even stand still. I'm sure they could notice that I couldn't stand still, and my face was probably sullen, but what you gonna do? They have water for me, and there was two friends. I can't remember who the other friend was that was there. I think we're gonna use some names. We're gonna say it was Katie and Sam. So Katie and Sam are there. They have water for me, and they're like, okay, like, come on, let's go sit down. So they bring me into the happy hour room, which is now all cleared out, but there is a chair there that I was sitting in. The original chair that I was sitting when I first said, hey guys, I'm drunk. I happened to notice in the hallway as we were going this way to the happy hour room and not this way to the reception, I noticed down the hall that my boyfriend was standing there with his sports coat and my purse. The girls, you know, they're very gracious, very nice. They bring me, they're like, here, like, you know, here, sit down, sit down. I didn't even get my butt on the chair. My boyfriend was in, ripped me off the chair. He's like, nope, we're leaving. Friggin' literally drug me out of the building. I look back as he's, you know, pulling me, like he wasn't even trying to wait for me to find my feet, like he was pulling me. I turn around and I look, and they're standing there like, okay, that just happened. I didn't even get to drink the water. We go outside, and it's raining, and he's furious with me. I don't know what this lady said to him. You know, he sent two of the girls that came and got me, Katie and Sam, they were friends of his. So he sent them to go get me. And we're standing out there, and he's talking to the valet about getting a cab or something. So we tried to call a cab. Either the cabs were going to take their time to get there, or the cabs weren't even going to come to the location. I don't know, because of the hills, or I don't know. We literally were there waiting, trying to get a cab, and the valet, the two valet people that were there were like, hey, you know what, like, we could drive you to where you're going. We'll just take one of the cars and we'll drive you. And not any of the guest cars. I think they had a shuttle van or something. We ended up doing that. In between all of that, my boyfriend was sneering at me. He was, you know, not saying it, he was saying it out loud, but not very loud for them to hear, but telling me that I was an embarrassment, and that, you know, what the heck is wrong with me. Of course, he used stronger words than heck. Just like literally barking at me, snapping at me, growling at me like a dog. Or even better, someone who talks to a dog the way some people talk to dogs. I didn't say anything. I actually started crying. He told me to shut up and stop crying. I was crying because, you know, I didn't want to ruin anything, and I did tell him more than once. I'm like, you know what, you can leave me out here, go inside to your friend's wedding, go have a good time, like, I'll be out here, or like I can even find my way back to the hotel, it's fine. If you don't want me here, just, you know, like, go have a good time, like, we didn't come out here all this way to not enjoy it. He's like, no, I'm not going back in there, I'm embarrassed, all this stuff. Because I got drunk and I was sitting on the floor and someone found me, okay? Yeah, maybe I'd be a little embarrassed too, but at the same time, I think I would laugh. I would make sure my person was okay, and then I'd probably laugh. Be like, what are you doing on the floor? You could at least sit in the toilet. Anyway, so these valet people end up taking us in a van, and I am sitting in the back seat next to my boyfriend, who graciously, and I say graciously with a grain of salt, he gave me his blazer, you know, in case I was cold. So like I'm under this like this, I'm holding it up to me, and I'm literally leaning over, and I'm not looking at anybody or anything. I'm just concentrating on not throwing up in the van. These two, it was a man and a woman. The man was driving, the woman was in the passenger seat, and then my boyfriend was next to me. And they all pull out their phones for GPS. And they're trying to, you know, my boyfriend's like, we're staying at the DoubleTree in Plymouth Mean, blah, blah, blah. He couldn't remember the address, so he asked me. Drunk me gave the correct address. Drunk me remembers what I said, and I said it correctly. So I gave him the address. I don't know between the three of them what these guys input, or maybe I did say it wrong. Maybe I did say it wrong. 2 hours later, oh wait, no, hold on, erase that. We're driving around. At one point they have to stop for gas. My boyfriend, let me make a note. I have the hiccups. That's not the note. When I say my boyfriend, I don't mean my current boyfriend. This guy is long gone. He's an ex. So maybe I should say my ex-boyfriend. But then it's going to sound like I was with my ex-boyfriend during this time. So I'm just going to keep saying boyfriend, but hear it as ex-boyfriend. So my boyfriend, you know, in between talking to the driver and the other lady, you know, he snaps at me and tells me to sit up and, you know, literally ordering me around. And these people could hear it. We're in a car now. It's not like we're outside and the sounds are masked by cars and other outside things. We're inside a closed space. So he's, you know, just yelling at me, telling me to shut up, stop crying, this is your fault, you know, all this stuff. 2 hours later, we end up back at the hotel. But not before they drive to the wrong address. So the GPS is like, okay, you've arrived at your destination. And we're all looking around. It's a residential area. We're like, where's the hotel? And they're like, oh, maybe we put the wrong address in. All three of them. Of course, I get yelled at for that. And, you know, I stopped crying at this point. I literally was silent, head cocked, body leaned, because I wasn't even trying to be a part of it anymore. I just, at this point, I wanted to go back to the hotel, and I wanted to leave, and I was already sobering up a little bit. And I knew I was going to call my best friend, because at the time she lived like 20 minutes away from where we were staying with her fiance and her daughter, who was a baby. Oh my god. Her baby was like just born, I think, a few months prior. So I knew that I could call them and be like, hey, come and get me. After some figuring out or whatever, we end up at the hotel. And they drop us off, and my boyfriend tips them pretty generously, you know, sorry for the trouble, you know, thank you for driving us, whatever, and he gets out and starts walking. Doesn't even wait for me, doesn't help me out or anything. So as I'm scooting out of the van with his jacket, I look at them and they're like, hey, feel better? And I'm like, I'm so sorry, like, thank you for everything. And I'm like, no, don't be sorry, like, it's fine, like, you know, we're glad you're safe. And I was like, thank you. And so I get out and I try to catch up a little bit to him, and I'm like, here's your jacket, and he takes it back. And we walk inside, we go straight to our room. He opens the door, doesn't even hold it open for me, so I have to make sure I'm quick enough to, like, you know, push it open, because hotel doors lock. Well, most hotel doors lock behind you, so, and I didn't have a key. So I let myself in, and I went straight to the room, and he sat on the sofa in, there was like a living room, and the bedroom was separate. It was kind of a nice room. He sat on the couch to watch TV, and I went in the bedroom, and he started yelling. He came in the room and started yelling at me and told me that I need to change my clothes and put on my pajamas and don't, you know, just yelling at me. So I did I change my clothes? No, I think I was still in my dress, and I sat on the floor next to the bed crying. And I remember I took my phone out and I called my best friend, one of my best friends. She answered, and I said, hey, like, are you busy right now? And she said, no, what's wrong? Like, what, are you crying? And I said, yeah, I'm crying. She's like, what happened? I said, I need you to come and pick me up. She's like, where are you? I said, I'm in, well, before I said I need you to come and pick me up, I said, you know, like, you live close to Plymouth Meeting, right? And she goes, yeah, like, we're like 15 minutes away. Why? What's up? I said, can you come and get me? And I told her briefly what happened. I said, you know, he's screaming at me. And so she's like, oh my god, yeah, like, you know, I'll see if my fiance can watch the baby and I'll come and get you. And so she was I could hear her talking to her fiance, and in the middle of that, while I was waiting for her, my boyfriend comes storming in. Who are you talking to? Because I guess he heard me on the phone. It's not like I closed the door or anything, but he starts hollering, not even yelling, not even screaming. He was hollering at me. Who are you talking to? Why are you on the phone? And I looked at him and I said, I'm talking to Jamie and she's picking me up. He's like, you're not going anywhere. She could hear the whole thing. It's not like he was whispering. I'm pretty sure anybody in neighboring rooms would have heard it. And so, like, I said, okay, I'm not leaving. And he left. And I said, okay, Jamie, like, you don't have to pick me up. She's like, are you sure? Jason's ready to come pick you up. And I said, well, no, I think it'll be okay. And she was scared. Because, I mean, I called her and asked her to pick me up. And then I was like, just kidding. I was more scared than anything. Because I didn't want to leave and then have him, you know, do something to me. Because I would have found my way back. The plan was for them to pick me up. I would stay at their house that night. You know, inconvenient to them probably, but like I would stay at their house at night, and then they could just like drive me into the city, drop me off at the bus station. I'd take a bus back down to Wildwood, and that would be it. Or I would just come back to my parents' house, which is here, and just stay here until, you know, for like a few days or something. But I was scared that if I left, then he would do something, or I don't know. I was just scared. I don't know anything. I was just scared. I convinced her that it's okay. She doesn't need to come and get me. I stopped crying at that point, and I ended up hanging up with her. He came back in when I was done talking, and he told me that I needed to change my clothes, get into my pajamas, and go to bed. And that he told me that I better not embarrass him like that ever again. Okay. Might I add that not once, other than him giving me his blazer, not once did he try to help me. He didn't even try to help me walk. He didn't ask me if I was okay. He didn't ask me if I needed any water. All he was worried about was the fact that I embarrassed him at this wedding. Because I found out later, the lady told him that she found me passed out in the stall, which wasn't true. I wasn't passed out, I was sitting. But the way I was sitting, she saw my shoes and whatever. I laid in bed, I turned everything off, I laid there, and I could hear him watching TV, and I must have dozed off. And at one point, I opened my eyes and everything was dark. And I could hear him shuffling around, and then he came into the room, and I got even more scared. I thought maybe he was gonna, like, hit me or something. So I laid there, and I waited, and he climbed into the bed, and he stayed on his side. Like, flipped, so he was lying on his side and stayed over there. At one point in the night, I must have like rolled over to snuggle with him, like in sleeping, like I wasn't even, and I put my arm around him, and he grabbed it and threw it off, and I don't know, I guess I did it again, and he rolled over, growled at me, and hit me. He hit me. He growled through his teeth, "Don't ever touch me," or something like that. It was something like, "Get off of me," or "Don't touch me." I forget. It was something very, very serious. He was very serious about it, and he hit me, and I was so scared. I just laid there, and I was like, in the morning, I must have fallen back asleep at some point. Like, I rolled over, I fell asleep. I woke up at, I don't know, like 7 o'clock in the morning. Checkout wasn't until 11. And I knew he would try to, you know, take up every minute of that. So I got up quietly and I packed all of my things and I brought them out to the living room. And I sat on the couch and I contemplated calling my best friend again and being like, you know what? No, I need you to come and get me. Please come and get me. Because at least then it was daytime and they could see better. But something, I don't know, I just got really scared. Like, instead, I just laid on the sofa and waited. Eventually, he got up, started packing his things, and then I think he asked me where something was. I don't know. He said, we're checking out, and then we left. I remember he didn't even wait for me, like, walking. You know, I had to make sure we had everything. We left our sandwiches in the hotel room, which I don't know why I always remember when I forget food, but we had gotten hoagies the day before when he was showing me around his neighborhood, and we didn't get to eat them all, or eat all of it, and so we left it in the hotel. He waited for me to get in the car, but I don't know, it was silent the whole way down. When he dropped me off at my apartment, I opened the door and I threw my bags out the car onto the sidewalk. I slid out and then I turned around and I looked at him and I climbed back in the car and I kissed him. Like, what in the hell? I don't know why. Once I knew that I had all my stuff, I shut the door and I turned to walk to my apartment and he drove away. Didn't even wait for me to get in my apartment. I go in and I unpack, and later that evening he sends me a text message. Not even later that evening, I think it was like an hour later, he sends me a text message and it says, look, I love you, but I need my space. I'm like, yeah, you can have your space. And I don't know, so I started talking to my friend Ben, who's a really good friend of mine from college, and I was telling him about everything, and he was just like, what? He's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. It just happened. He's like, wow, what a But yeah, so that's the story of me getting dragged out of a wedding. I was literally dragged out of a wedding. Not the ceremony part, but, you know, the sort of, the reception part. We were dragged out of the reception. Oh, and that was the other thing he complained to. He's like, we didn't even make it to the salad. I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you think that, yeah, I was a dummy for drinking so much and, you know, yeah, it's my fault and that I deserved it? Or do you guys think that, wow, what a douche? Let me know in the comments below. I have many more stories that relate to this guy, so. But yeah, I should have, it's like the ultimate red flag. I should have left him. If you're curious, I gave him his space, and actually those 3 days were very glorious. I didn't have to talk to anybody. I went to work, I came home, I went for walks, I explored. He texted me that Wednesday night while he was at work, because he worked at a bar and he was a bouncer, so he had some downtime, so he texted me. I remember fishing my phone out from under my pillow, looking at it, seeing who it was, and putting it back under my pillow. And then I laid there for about 5 minutes and I was like, that's kind of rude, so I pulled it out and I answered him, and then I guess we were fine after that. Don't let anybody do that to you. It's not cute, and no one deserves that. It might have been a little different if he showed concern for me and, you know, helped me instead of thinking of himself and you know, what people must have thought of him and me, or I don't know. He tried to make light of it later, saying that, oh, you know, people forgot about us right away because at the end of the wedding there was a fist fight between family members, and I don't know, I don't know. That's my story, and I'm here to tell it. And, you know, I don't know if any of you have ever experienced anything with a significant other like that. Thankfully, I am now in a relationship where that would never happen. I've gotten drunk with this new boyfriend. It was his birthday, but I got drunk, his brother got drunk, his brother's girlfriend got drunk, and he was the only one who wasn't drunk because he had to drive. I felt so bad, but he was so awesome about it. I told him I was going to the bathroom and we were waiting for valet to get our car, and he said, are you okay? Do you want me to walk you? I said, no, I'm fine. I made it to the bathroom. When I came out of the bathroom, he was waiting for me. He had followed me to the bathroom to make sure I got there. Ladies, those are the kind of men that you need in your life. The ones who, you know, when you say, no, I'm fine, I don't need you, and they're still there when you come out. Those ones. Same thing, men. Don't have any women who, you know, who friggin' treat you like poop and like step all over you. That's not okay. It's not okay for either gender. And you know what? If you're a man and you like men, get you a nice man. If you're a girl and you like girls, get you a nice girl. And oh, and don't be that douche nugget. Just don't. Alright guys, bye.